Audio's good? So we'll just go to the end of the music and then we'll start talking.
Sounds good.
Can you see my lemonade? Yeah. See my lemonade? All right. Well, you know what? I got a lemonade. Coach has got a Coke. I don't know. What are you drinking, Coach?
Diet Coke. You know,
Diet Coke.
Drink of champions.
All right, Coach. Thanks for coming back for another show.
No problem.
Welcome back to the Coach's Show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you're there live, I appreciate that. If not, I know you'll catch us on the replay later this week. Coach, we took our first loss this season, right?
Yes, we did.
And, you know, no one likes a loss. Tell me how the team felt about it.
I mean, the team was super, super disappointing. You know, I think there was a lot put into this week and the build-up and all that. And, you know, I genuinely thought we were ready to go. You know, I didn't think there was any qualms from the kids. Like, I thought we were ready. And it was just a few things here and there kind of hit us. And it was really the first time the kids have seen and had to deal with adversity this year. And we just didn't respond the way that you have to respond if you're going to be a championship caliber team. You know, I think that breaks it down to the most like basic level, you know?
Yeah. So listen, you're a brand new coach here, first time head coach, right?
Yep.
If I recall. How did you handle this? What did you say to your team Friday night? And tell me how you dealt with the loss here.
First thing after the game, you know, one of the things I told the kids, and we didn't have like a long speech, and I'm not one of those guys that wants to get in and, you know they played bad. You know, we saw the score, everybody was devastated, and at that point, you know, there's not much to harp on. You know, we've got some guys on staff that are like that old school guy, and like we were talking about this weekend where, you know, we should have run them a ton right there on the field for what they, no, you know, they know they played bad, you know, and after the game, I think some of the kids were a little surprised because I was like, listen, that was terrible. It wasn't good. It's homecoming. It's over, you know, and the thing I really expressed to him was one loss does not define the season. It's a big one because that's a game that everybody wanted, it being Mawapa, it being homecoming and all that stuff.
Of course.
But in the grand scheme of things, we're 3-1 now. We still got a winning record. We, you know, Mawapa's a good team, and there's a good chance we'll get a second shot at them, and now we get to be better about it next time, you know?
Yeah, let me check with the audience here real quick. Hey, can you guys hear this? Can you guys hear this out of the speakers? Too loud? No, it's good? All right, perfect. I don't want to bother anyone, but I wanted to make sure you could hear it too. So you can hear me. All right, sounds good. Sorry about that. I should have checked before we started the show. So, all right, so then you had a chance to take the long weekend, reflect on, you know, on the plays, look at the book. Look at your stats and all that. What did you think about, and then some film, right? I imagine you looked at the game film?
Yeah.
What did you think about after watching the film?
Watching it back, and that was one of the things, like I really I started looking at Virgin Valley. I didn't want to go into it. I wanted to watch it kind of fresh with the kids on Monday when we watched it.
Okay.
And, you know, we put the film on, and I was like, listen, we're not going to coach through this. I just want you guys to watch the film. Watch your positions, watch what you did. Let's see, you know, you guys kind of take some self-assessment, if you will. And, you know, about halfway through the game into the third quarter, that's when the kids started to like mumble a little bit in the back, and, you know, the coach was like, let's quiet down. I was like, oh, no, hold on. Like, I could hear what they're saying. Like, what are you guys saying?
The students.
The kids,
the athletes, okay.
And, you know, and they really were putting out there, like, you know, we weren't out of this game. And I go, no, we weren't. And we really, like, when you look at it, I think with 3 minutes to go in the second quarter, the score was still 7-7. You know, we were in the game. They scored, which, you know, they practice too. They're gonna score touchdowns, and, you know, at that point it's 14-7. I think we're in a decent position, and then we kind of had a little bit of a brain fart on the kickoff return, and at that point, that's when everybody's kind of body language and everything just kind of went right into the gutter.
Yeah, it definitely would have helped to put some points on the board in the second quarter, for sure. That would have felt a little better going into the halftime, you know. So is that what you felt? Did the students recognize that in themselves? Is that what you're...
I think so, a little bit. You know, and we had a long talk on Monday. We did a lot of We really didn't practice. We kind of watched film. We did a long talk with everybody where, I don't want it to get to a point where the kids are annoyed with me, but one of the things I keep saying to them and like imparting to them is, you guys are playing for more than it's not just football. And that's something that's different out here that I absolutely love, but I want them to understand and appreciate that, especially a homecoming game, you're playing for the ghosts of Boulder City past, those guys that graduated here in 1942. You're also playing for the team in the community right now. And then one of the things that I have really been emphasizing this year is you're also playing for the future, and I'm like, there were a lot of those like younger kids that are playing football out here that saw this, and I go, they're seeing the way you guys respond to adversity. And that's just not the way we want to do this, and I told them, and I've told them from day one that I'm like, I will not give up on anything. I will continue fighting, and we are going to go. And I don't know if you realize, but at the end of the game, when the game's, it's out of reach, I'm calling timeouts and we're still running stuff. We're not just going to give up. Like, we're going to keep going. Like, it's not over until the fat lady sings, and I want them to understand that that's what we're expecting now. This is what it's going to look like for the future. These losses are not okay, and you've got to man up and, understand that you're role models for like these younger kids that are coming up. And, and I told them again, I go, you guys are year one in what I want to do and what I want to build here. And everything that you do kind of reflects where we want to be. And, trying to explain to them that like, they've got to suck it up. They've got to be the heroes to those little kids. They're go out there and play and bust your butt till the very last play.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've learned through the podcast and what these coaches at Boulder City High School have taught me is that, well, one, Coach Rochelle Huxford, for example, her podcast is out right now. There's a shameless plug. But she talks about how losses make you better.
Right.
Losses are part of the winning process.
Right.
And so that's really the thing that you want to, that I would say is, okay, we lost. I think everyone was expecting to win. Where I grew up, we scheduled the slubbiest, sorriest team for homecoming.
Right.
At first glance, I would say, Moapa, but it turns out to be they're a little better than we were expecting. But losing's part of winning. You don't think so?
They weren't. We played bad. And if you look at it too, our defense, really what it was, like, our tackling wasn't great, but we kind of like broke it down, and and I blame ourselves as like coaches, kind of put them in a position, and like it was more our alignment, and then not kind of catching it and telling the kids, like, you guys have got to be a little bit more athletes. You got to think for yourself out there. If you're doing the same thing over and over again and it's not working, change it, and like that's kind of what they were doing. They basically ran the same play, and that's on us as a staff not getting that corrected.
They did. They ran the same play over and over again,
and the same
we've
thing,
seen it for years now. So.
And offensively, we moved the ball. We got 2 or 3 first downs almost every drive, and then would do something dumb to kind of shoot ourselves in the foot and move backwards with a penalty, or sometimes we were catching the ball and running backwards, but we were doing it. You know what I mean? You
just described the first drive. Tell me about that first drive, because we converted it to first down,
right?
And we're doing pretty well, even completing some passes and some quarterback carries. Then we get a penalty,
right?
We move backwards, then we have an incomplete pass, and boom, now we're punting.
Right, and so even like that incomplete pass.
What was working in that?
I mean, everything was, and like we kind of had we stuck with our game plan kind of throughout the entire game, and everything was there. We had some drops. Guys that haven't dropped balls all year are dropping balls in, key third down situations. We had a few holding penalties that we really haven't had early in the year.
Yeah.
Like, we kept getting those holding penalties when we'd be getting a first down, and then we'd come out and throw a ball, and we were just missing. Guys were open, but we were missing the ball. Like, we had a couple where Derek Render had a good catch across the middle, and the guy just popped him, and the ball popped out. You know what I mean? So all those little things, it just kind of lined up and wasn't our night. But I don't think they are not 33 points better than us by any means.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And it brings to mind, I hadn't thought about this until you just mentioned it. When I first got to the game and I was watching warm-ups, I was up in the bleachers with some parents, the JV game had ended, and there was still a big crowd. You know, it was homecoming night, obviously. And watching the two teams next to each other, I turned to one of the dads next to me. I said, well, we're not small.
Right.
And but we're not as strong. And, you know, I think maybe, you know, we need to visit the weight room or something. What was going on? Because we did get manhandled a little bit.
And that was one of the things that's one of the things that I've impressed upon the kids from day one. And you can ask any of the kids the very first day of summer camp when I officially had the kids for practice, brought them all in the weight room. And one of the things I said to them, I said, all right, we're about to hit the weight room, and like this is going to be an important part of what we do in this football program. And I said, who in here can bench press? I think it was like 315 pounds. And I think one person raised their hand. I go, okay. Who can squat 500 pounds? And I think we had I don't think we had anybody raise their hand for that. Who can deadlift? Who can deadlift 400 pounds? And we had one kid raise their hand. Who can power clean 250 pounds? We had one kid raise their hand.
That's a good chunk. That's a good chunk of change.
I go, okay, so we've got 3 kids that can do those things. I go, right now, Moapa Valley has 11 kids that can do all 4 of those things. That's why we don't beat them.
Yeah.
We are not stronger than them. And that's been the emphasis and it's hard. We kind of started in the summer, and it's a little bit weird during the school year, but we've got to get in the weight room. That's the difference between us dominating 3A and us hoping to get some wins against some of these schools. We've just got to get bigger and stronger, and it can be done. That's something that program I was at in the past, like we didn't have a good weight room program when I first got there, but we turned it around, and all of a sudden we were getting kids that were bigger and stronger than everybody because they were really emphasizing it. And that's something that the kids want to work out, and I understand everybody plays 3 sports, but lifting weights helps you in all sports, you know, and that's got to be a point of emphasis moving forward, and we're trying to instill that with the younger kids, and, you know, hopefully that's not going to be the case forever.
Let's be honest, there's only a handful of students that play 3 sports.
Right.
And of those, they probably don't start all 3 sports.
Right.
Let's just be honest about the whole 3 sports thing.
You know, so we've just got to try and figure out, and like we've got some issues with some kids being able to get there in the morning. But once the season's over, we'll kind of open it up to the afternoon. But that's,
okay.
Again, as a kind of introduction to the program this year, kind of explaining to people that the weight room is a big part of it. And once the season's over, we will get right into it. And if you plan on playing for us, you better be in the weight room 4 to 5 days a week doing the lifts that we need you to do to get stronger.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed too on our end, a lot of missed tackles.
Yes.
Putting our head down, missing the tackle, fundamentally missing the tackle.
Right.
Not because the guy was bigger or had more running momentum, just fundamental tackling. Tell me about that and what's going on in practice, and how's Jack going to fix that?
We've been doing our DTC, our Done Again tackling camp for, at least once a week all year, and the kids know what they're doing, and I didn't think we had a tackling problem. And Friday night, it was almost like an intimidation thing. And we did have guys that were literally going for a kill shot where we're going up and almost turning everything to try and lay the kid out, and we're just whiffing because our head's not up and we're not doing that. And this week, we already today at practice kind of emphasized that we need 11 guys at the ball. And I'm not expecting everybody to make a one-on-one solo tackle. You know what I mean? That's just not realistic.
Sure.
But get there, get your hands on them, and we've got 10 other guys on the field that are there to finish them off.
Right on, yeah. I mean, let's talk about some other things. Special teams. There was a kickoff return for a touchdown that got brought back for a holding, but I couldn't help but notice that was like the 3rd or 4th time that's happened, or we got big chunks of yardage.
Yes.
What's going on with this team that that they're not zeroing in on this ball carrier?
And we've got one of the things I kind of emphasized early in the year was we've got guys that are going both ways. And those guys that are working hard in practice, we want to get them the opportunity to play, and especially on special teams, getting our younger guys in there to do it. And the first 2 weeks, we've had a very good job with our special team stuff, and we were getting kicks that were deeper, almost to the end zone, and those guys were covering really good. This week, I think a lot of it was the moment became too big for a lot of guys, with that intimidation of Moapa, we've got to shake it. There's kids that just didn't kind of just shrunk instead of standing up tall, and I've been very happy with our kickoff team. Like, they've done a very good job staying in their lanes and doing their job.
Yeah.
And this week they just kind of snuck through a couple, you know what I mean? So, like I said, it was not great on all three levels.
I don't think anyone said we were going to go undefeated. Mm-hmm. But it's these times where you get punched in the mouth like that, that determines the character and what you're going to do. Some guys are going to overcome. Maybe they don't. I don't know. Right. But this is the game of life.
Right. 100%.
This is why we play sports in high school.
Right.
We always wonder why I do the podcast. That's a big question.
Right.
Always, people are, why'd you do the podcast? This is where you learn how life works.
Right.
Not so much in school, because the school experience, you'll never mimic that again.
Right.
But sports, fighting for an inch, getting knocked down, getting penalized, getting back up, winning. This is the game of life.
Right.
We got a tough match coming up against Virgin Valley Bulldogs.
Yes,
Tell me what you know about the Bulldogs.
They're very, very similar to us. They've got a lot of their skill guys go both ways. So pretty much guys that are going to be matched up, who we're matching up with on defensively, those same guys are going to be covering the guys that's covering them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've got a quarterback that everyone keeps saying is one of the best quarterbacks in 3A. So we get to see who I think the best quarterback in 3A is go against them, So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be, but like I said, we're very, very similar in what we do offensively. I think they run the ball a little bit more than we do. They've got two backs that are big kids. They're not super fast, but they run hard and they're big. And then they've got a third running back that's a little bit smaller, but still kind of runs the same way, just kind of straightforward, one cut and go. And then their skill guys, they've got like one kid that's really fast. They've got a couple kids that are decent, running routes and stuff like that. Yeah. I think it's a very good matchup for us,
So we know what we're up against.
Yeah.
There was flashes of what we know Boulder City can do in this game against Moapa. Eastern Wellborn, Brady Sorensen. I mean, everyone showed up.
Right.
Chavez was giving it to him down in the trenches. Number 57, I always forget who 57
Kingma,
is.
Josh Kingma.
Josh, man, forgive me, Josh. Man, I feel so bad. They live just around the corner from us, but I'm always watching number 57. Yeah. I'm like, man, number 57 is laying it to him. We were doing the right things.
Right.
But we were being overpowered.
Right.
They were spreading us out. They were spreading out, and that gave them these running passes. They were running the same play like you mentioned same 3 plays, I'd say, maybe 4.
And honestly, looking at it, it wasn't like this horrible, we played terrible. It was kind of an alignment thing that we didn't catch during the game, and they took advantage of it. And like I said, with the kids, telling them, listen, if you realize this isn't working, you've got to make an adjustment. And we kept kind of bumping out instead of bumping in and just making that hole bigger and bigger. And then we weren't getting our guys to come and fill and make the tackle right there. I mean, if you look at the film too and look back at it, if we made the tackle at the first place where we made contact with them, it's a completely different game.
Yeah, because it's a difference of 3 to 5 yards every time, in every instance, sometimes 12.
Right.
That was the big thing that I noticed too, was just that first interaction didn't take them down.
And it wasn't and that's where I'm saying, it wasn't this horrible, it seemed like they were running right through us, but then when you watch the film, no, we had a guy there. You've made that play the last 3 weeks. What happened this time? You know what I mean? It's that sort of thing.
What about their route coverage? They did that really well too. They played
them covering us?
Yeah, them covering us.
They didn't do it that good. We were wide open all night. But and we again, we did what we wanted to do.
So where was the breakdown then?
It was just we had drops. You know what I mean? There was a couple third down drops, and then like I said, we ran a couple of those screens that. The screen pass, we're looking for, it's an extended run. We're looking for 3 to 5 yards on that. We're not looking to break a home run.
Okay.
And then on the one, actually, it was a communication error between me and Gage. I called a formation, but I called the play backside, where it's got to go to the front side, and he was like, all right, if that's what you want. So we ran it backside, and then we threw it to Easton with no blocking, and that was 100% on me, and then we started to run around and moving backwards and stuff like that. So
who was calling the plays?
Me, I was.
The whole night?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
No, and it was, we stuck to what we said we wanted to. They were going to play us deep, but we knew we could still run past them. And we kept hitting them with the shorter stuff and like getting up and going. And then we took our shots here and there. We completed the one to Jappy. And then, one of the other things too, like in the second half, and this is something we've talked about that we're going to definitely try to get better at this week, is, we've got to get those guys that don't come off the field, we've got to get them off the field. We've got to work those backups in to get those guys a little bit more of a breather. Because, those guys are our dudes, so we want them out there. But expecting them to give us everything in the fourth quarter that they're giving us in the first quarter when they haven't taken a play off that's just dumb on my part.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment too. But having said that, the condition, I think the boys are well conditioned.
Yeah.
Did you put in the second string there at the end of the game, and
No.
what was going on?
No.
You played our starters all the way in.
And like that's
nice
the thing,
job, coach.
Right before halftime when we were moving, we ran our 2-minute drill and we started going. We just kind of ran out of time. I felt like we were in a groove there, and then even at the end of the game, we ran our 2 minutes again when we got the ball and we're calling timeouts, and we were moving the ball and ran out of time. So that's 2 more scores we could have got, and we had a couple little miscues early, and
well,
it
the
just
penalties,
put us behind.
the penalties on kickoff returns, punt returns, those kinds of things, they put you in bad field position. Then we end up, then we have a holding.
Right. And the one thing I will say, because like last week we were kind of hard on the referees and stuff like that, but like our penalties this week were penalties.
Yeah.
Like as they happened,
Right
I was like,
on.
no.
Yeah, I didn't feel like this game was badly officiated at all.
There was that little bit of a blow up kind of at the end of the game, but it was more in trying to get the refs to communicate what was going on. Like we couldn't get answers on a few things and stuff like that, but it was not a poorly officiated game.
Right on. Well, thanks to your wife for getting me that media pass.
Yeah, no, that was all
down
her.
on
She
my
was like, I
sidelines.
better do it.
I got to be honest, I think I'm going to go up to the booth.
Yeah,
it's
it was
really
all your
weird
fault.
having everyone at your back. I don't know how you handle that. It weirded me out. Well, plus I had some friends in the stands, talking crap.
I have to say, it's one of the things I've noticed. I absolutely love when we come out and run across the Eagle, which, by the way, didn't Thunderstruck sound better this week?
Man, that sounded great. Way to bring it. Seniors.
Yeah, it was awesome. You
Yeah,
guys did
student
good.
section, that was amazing. Great job.
It was all downhill after that.
Thanks for reminding me of that, because that was well done. Well, listen, we started off good.
We started strong.
The opening numbers always got to be strong.
But I will say, like, it's so cool to run across the field and just see everybody there, and I love how close our stands are and all of that. But honestly, once we get on there in the opening kickoff, I genuinely don't even realize who's there or that the crowd's there or that they're loud. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of completely gets blocked out until after the game.
Yeah, I was down there. I was hanging out with Coach Ruth and Coach Crine, and it's pretty funny because Coach Crine's podcast is coming out next.
Okay.
And I forgot to get a picture of him in the studio. So I go to Coach Crine, I'm like, hey, Coach Crine, I forgot to get a picture of you in the studio. Maybe if you've got some time. He just turns down, and of course, I'm sure you guys saw me standing next to Coach Crane. He looks at me like this, says nothing to me at all, like 0 words to me at all. So I just kind of walked away. I'm like, well. And then Coach Ruth said, just, grab one off.
I'm excited for that podcast because I think it's going to be a lot of you talking and him going,
No, Coach Crine's the man. Here's the thing, why the podcast works is because I don't care who you are. You sit someone down and you talk about their passion, you talk about their sport, the thing they love to do. And people start talking.
Exactly.
How do you shut up? That's why they go so long. Each interview is over 2 hours long. Yeah. So, well, you know what? Great game, Coach. Didn't go our way. Like I said, it was a tough one. We got punched in the mouth. Now we know what it feels like, what they feel like specifically. Right. And like you said, you've got a laundry list of things that you need to work on.
Yeah, and it's good. I think we had kind of gotten a little bit of complacency from the kids in the fact that like we kind of do whatever we want, and and I told them it's going to be a gauntlet moving forward. We've got Virgin, which is going to be really good, and the added pressure of kind of going up there where it is a hostile environment up there, and their fans are aggressive, and it's just a long ride, so there's a lot of like different stuff there. And then we've got Slam, Pahrump, and Democracy Prep to end the year. There's no real cakewalks, and one of the things I had told the kids early in the year, I go, we're focused on, everybody makes the playoffs in 3A. So what we're playing for is our seed. I want a home game. for a playoff game. So we've got to be in the top 4. It'd be even better if we can get 2 home playoff games. So if we're in the top 2, we get 2 home playoff games. So that's kind of what we're shooting for. That's still not, that goal is not taken away from us.
Of course not.
In this,
3-1.
Yeah.
This is great.
So like we go through and we handle our business. Like we have a good shot to be in a good position, and I told the kids after the game, that was one thing I said. I go, we're going to get another shot at them. I truly believe we're going to get to see them again. And you guys can redeem yourselves, because even after that game, even after the thumping, I don't think they're a better football team than us. I really truly believe that if we play our game, there's no reason we can't be in it, if not win.
Yeah, I grew up an Oilers fan.
Okay.
And Bum Phillips, he used to get all this heat because we would make it to the playoffs and then we'd lose to the Steelers.
Right.
So I forget who asked him one of those years to ask him, Coach, how do you feel about losing to the Steelers every season? He just said, hey, the road to the Super Bowl goes through Pittsburgh.
Right.
It is what it is.
Right.
And you've got to beat these teams, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't beat them, you go home. I mean, it's
and that's
nobody
one of the
wants
things
that, but that's what's got to happen.
We were talking I don't know how long Slam is going to be in 3A. With the way kind of things work with the 3A stuff, I don't know how long Mater East is going to be in 3A. But we know every year we're going to have to play Pahrump, Virgin, and Moapa. And I kind of look at it, and I haven't said this to anybody, but like in my head I've been thinking about it, like kind of how they do that, what's it called when Army, Navy, and Air Force, the 3 of them, those 3 teams play each other every year, and they give away like the Commander's Cup or something like that to whoever wins.
Yeah.
But like that's kind of what we've got, where every year those are the games that we've got to win. If we can go 3-0 in those games, it's a successful season, kind of no matter what else happens.
Those are the OG teams.
Right? Yeah.
Well, thanks, Coach. Don't go anywhere, everyone, because I'm going to have a special guest, and we're going to do some football commentary on high school football for Boulder City Eagles. So stay tuned, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to turn the mics down just while we bring in Preston Reynolds. All right. I've got special guest Preston Reynolds. We're going to try and do some football commentary. Listen, I didn't want to, I didn't play for the Boulder City Eagles, so I wanted to bring in someone who played with the Boulder City Eagles. You guys might remember him just 2 years ago. He was on the offensive line. Preston, tell me what you think about this loss to the Pirates, 42-9.
I mean, it had to happen. Like, you got to take one of those, nail-biting losses, and you just got to take it on the chin. I mean, we've never seen a loss like this, or this team hasn't this year, so I think they're a little stunned by it. They didn't know what to expect coming into this loss. But, yeah, I mean, now we just see how they adapt to it, how they react to it next game.
Do you think that those other teams were that we beat, Mater East, Valley, and who's the other one? Something with an M, Meadows. Do you think those schools were grossly underrated, or they just weren't any good?
No.
And we were just bulldogging them, or what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all knew those teams weren't really competition.
Okay.
I think those were gonna be wins.
Yeah. Okay.
Those teams in the league where you're like, we know what's gonna happen. We're gonna go in. We're gonna win.
All right. So let's break it down, because you and I, we watch the games. We typically watch the games standing next to each other. From what you've seen in the other games where we were, bulldozing over the other teams, what did you notice in the games that we weren't doing well that you thought, what, if we don't clean this up, it's going to come back to bite us? What do you think?
I mean, I think we're a really talented team. Like, we have a lot of athletes, but I want to see us be able to adapt to situations a little better. You know, like we go into the game with the game plan.
Yeah.
We know what to expect, but if they run something different, we don't really know what to do as players on the field, or at least these guys. You know, I've seen a little bit of stuff, but I think Coach Bubba was saying, like, we keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting it to work, but at some point we kind of just got to change it up and adapt on the field, because our coaches aren't on the field, so they can only do so much on the sideline, but we got to kind of take that initiative as players and be like, okay, like, I see what they're doing. Now we kind of got to figure out what we can do to stop it.
Right, yeah. What about getting in the weight room, being manhandled like Coach was talking about? Did you feel that from Moapa? Are they a stronger team when you're down in the trenches with it? Can you just feel that? I mean, probably not you, but were your buddies getting manhandled? No one manhandles Preston.
I mean,
That's ridiculous.
Moapa's always been a team that's, you know, we're in the weight room from day one.
Yeah.
From day one to summer, we're in the weight room.
Yeah, got to be that way.
From spring of the last season, we're in the weight room.
Creatine shakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think these kids got away with it the first couple of games because they were bigger, and now we face somebody their own size.
Yeah.
And they were a little stunned because they were able to get away with it. But I think a weight room is a huge part of it.
Yeah. Coach talked a little bit about being intimidated. Do you feel intimidated when you're out there and you get a big hit, or you look at the scoreboard and you're down, 21-3?
I mean, it is what it is. You can't sit there, starstruck by it and be like, oh my God, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
It's just those times are gonna happen. You kind of got to realize, like, we're gonna be in those situations. How are we gonna react to it? People aren't gonna judge us by our success. They're gonna judge us by how we react to our losses. So
That's right. Yeah, that's a great point.
I feel like, you're being in the situation or in those kind of situations. You got to realize, like, they're gonna happen. We're not always gonna be up. We're gonna be down. We might be down 7. We might be down 3 scores. But we just got to keep doing what we're doing and not let it get in our head too much. Because once a bad play happens, then we kind of start thinking about it. Oh my gosh, now we're thinking about it too much. It affects the next play. Bubba was saying, like, we had some of those drop passes or those penalties, and it started getting in our players' heads, and then they started making those mistakes again.
Yeah.
And they were thinking about it too much. And they just got to go out there and play football, play the game that they're good at, and they know how to do. So.
Yeah. What about getting in your head? Is there anyone on the sidelines? I mean, do you look to your teammates? I mean, how do you get out of your head? Because Coach was describing that kind of mentality that they could see in the game film where they were like, oh, at this point, something in our head said, well, you know what, it's probably not going to go our way, so we're just going to, turn it down to low, medium.
I mean, I think that's where those captains kind of step up. Because that's what they're known for, is being able to pick up their teammates when they're at their low. So I think if you see your teammate, kind of dwelling on the mistake he made, you kind of got to be there and be like, that was in the past. I need you now, and we're gonna go out there and make the same play.
Yeah.
We're gonna go do it better. It doesn't matter now. It can't affect us now, right?
Yeah.
So
plays done.
That's where those captains really step up and they take those captain roles.
Yeah. So this week we're traveling to Virgin Valley. Tell me what you remember about traveling to Virgin Valley. It's a tough night. It's a long night.
I mean, you never want to be away at those rival schools. It's a bad environment, but some people, they feed off that energy. There's no better feeling than being able to beat a rival team at their place. So I think we just gotta kind of turn that into energy and turn that into fuel.
Yeah.
And be like, how great is this going to feel if we beat this team at their place?
What do you think about the talent on this team?
I mean, it's undeniable.
Right?
This offense is loaded.
Yeah, I mean, we got a ton of quarterback carries. I mean, Gage is really competent at pass game, rushing game.
I mean, I don't think this offense could fit Gage any better.
Right. Victor's hitting them through the uprights. I mean,
we have some animals at the receiving core and our quarterback, really.
For sure.
Like, I think this coaching staff really good at building the offense around him.
Yeah.
And around his, his perks and what he does well, especially passing the ball. They let him just, go out there and play football.
Yeah.
And also our defense, like, we got some beasts on defense. I think maybe our defense our offense is a little better than our defense, but I mean, no matter what people say, offense doesn't win games. So you got to be able to put points on the board.
Yeah, I knew you would say that. Yeah. So let me think about what I was going to ask you next. The Bulldogs going out to Virgin Valley. That's Mesquite, right? You going to that game?
Yeah.
We're going to that game. I might hitch a ride with you. Can I hitch a ride with you?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. So come out, Boulder City. Don't hold back. What else, Preston? What else we got going on?
I mean, I want to see how this team reacts to this loss.
Yeah.
You know, this game happened. It had to happen. They just got to take it on the chin.
Yeah.
Like, now we want to see how they react to the loss. If they're going to, stand up and play better, or are they going to curl up?
Yeah, they're going to curl up. Yeah. No, I think they're going to play better.
No, I think they.
I think they have the tools.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let me ask you. I know what I was going to ask you. What would Coach Morelli do after the game? This team, they got to go watch film and contemplate and do some Zen Buddha yoga or something. What would Coach Morelli would have done after this game? Same thing.
Same thing. We would have been in the film room.
Yeah.
We got to know what we did wrong, what we can do better. But I think that also.
Then what? Then what do you do?
I mean, there's a little bit of initiative on the players. You got to go home and study film. You got to find out what you specifically did wrong. And also watch your teammates, what you can help them on.
Yeah.
Especially on the field. If you're there watching the mistakes, be able to, correct them.
So everybody gets the game film?
Yeah.
What is it, emailed to everybody? How does that work?
There's an app called Huddle.
All right.
Yeah.
And so everyone watches the game?
Well, they should.
They should. Yeah, not everybody does, clearly.
Yeah.
But they should.
Yeah.
When you watch the game, do you watch yourself? You watch everybody? What are you watching when you would go back over that film?
I kind of, like, if I'm going back on a game, I kind of try to watch me, at least the first time.
Yeah.
Watch what I did wrong, what I did well, so that, I could take those, what I did good, and apply them to the next game.
Yeah.
But also, watch my teammates and see, like, what I can do and what I can do with them to make, have success happen. And then going into the next game, I'm also going to watch the other team.
Yeah.
The kids I'm going to be matched up with, especially at like a tight end position, the kids like a D end or a linebacker that I'm going to be matched up with.
Yeah.
But then also watch like, the rest of the defense and find those weaknesses in them.
Yeah.
That way, I know, and then I can tell my teammates what I found.
I mean, man, it was the same homeopathy. Like I said, 4 plays in their playbook. They work well for them. I probably wouldn't change either.
Yeah.
I
I think that's also where this, the adapting to situations come from. You got to be able to recognize what's happening on the field as players and be able to, change what you're doing, not just, try to do the same thing you've been doing, especially if it's not working.
Yeah.
There's always a solution.
Yeah.
You just got to adapt.
So did you ever get a second chance to play Moapa? Like Coach is saying, we're probably going to get another chance. You think that'll happen?
No, I didn't. At least my senior year, we never made playoffs. I mean, there was like 3 teams that made playoffs back then.
Yeah.
But I faced an injury, which is what it is.
Yeah, I remember that.
But,
yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah. But I mean, there's nothing better than to get redemption on a team like this.
Right on. So you think we can beat the Bulldogs on Friday?
Absolutely.
All right, man. Let's go. Let's go do it, Eagles. A couple of things before we close out. Thanks, Preston. Thanks for joining us. The Rochelle Huxford podcast is out right now. Thank you to Vinny's for hosting us each and every week. I always forget to give them a shout out. There was something else. I highly recommend the Coach Rochelle Huxford podcast, by the way. Really, really good podcast. And the one before that, Kenny and Ken and Rose, if you haven't listened to that, I highly recommend that one for students. Lots of good stuff in that podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaches Show. Next podcast to come out will be Coach Denny Crine. I'll find a picture somewhere. Actually, I do have a picture of him on the baseball field. Like he was dragging the field or something. I'll use that one, Coach. Boom. We don't have to say anything. Coach Crine's a cool dude. Have you met Coach Crine?
I've never.
He's very similar to you. He's very tall and quiet and just but he's a really good coach. And you get him talking about baseball, and he really opens up. Yeah, he's a good guy. All right, thanks everyone. Here comes the music. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next week. Go Eagles.